guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Valentine Lister, and this is my series on the minor arcana for the suit of cups. And today we're going to cover the Seven of Cups. This is one of my favorite cards, to be quite honest with you. And what are we going to cover in this card so that you really know what this one means? We are going to cover all of the hidden secret symbolism in the card that will really give you a deeper feel for it and really give you a lot of clarity about what the card means versus like, I think it means this, I think it means that, I don't know. I don't know what it means. We're gonna go into the astrology of the card, deep into the astrology, which actually is super connected to this card, will really help you know it really well. And we're going to go into the upright and the reversed meanings. And before I get into it, I've got to give a shout out to my great resource that I have for you guys called the Tarot and Astrology Cheat Sheet. So what's that all about? I created a free resource for you guys that lists out every single card and the association, what zodiac signs it goes with, what planets, elements, all of that. If you want to snag that, that's in the description box below underneath the timestamps, and you can get that for joining my awesome mailing list where you get my videos. All right, so let's get into this Seven of Cups and really get to know it. Okay, so this Seven of Cups. So I just wanted to give you a little nickname for this card, introduce you to this card. It's a little scandalous, a little bit. So this card I like to call filling your cup up with lust and desire. So that gives you a little idea of what this card might be about. Okay, so I'm going to bring in the major arcana rulers of this card, which ties into the astrology. And so this card is ruled by Venus in Scorpio, right? So we have Venus represented by the Empress card, and we have Scorpio represented by Death. Now, let me break this down for you to make it easier to understand. So as you may remember, right, we have a god or goddess, and they are wearing the zodiac sign costume of the other card. So again, the Empress represents Venus, Death represents Scorpio. We have Venus in Scorpio. And then, so how does this tie into the Seven of Cups? Well, if Venus is in Scorpio, what does that actually look like for us? Like, what does that really mean? So the Seven of Cups is going to give you a feel for what Venus and Scorpio is going to look like for your everyday life. So I'm going to get more into that when going into the hidden symbolism. But I just wanted to mention next that for people that are astrologists, interested in astrology or super into it, that the Seven of Cups is represented in the third decan of Scorpio. Okay, so for this card, it's one of them where we really have to like read into it to understand the meaning and the symbolism. Like sometimes the rulers of the card, the symbolism will show right up and we like totally get it, totally easy to understand. This is not one of those cards. So the symbolism from the Empress and Death is not obvious. So I'll break it down for you. So we have Venus, right? Also known as the Empress. She is the goddess of beauty, pleasure, harmony, and fertility. So in the Seven of Cups, we see them filled up with objects of desire. So we have like this beautiful woman here, super sexy in like the Greek age, I guess, like the other ages. We have like the soul, like eternal life. We have like the castle here, like a big home. We have wisdom, the snake here. What else? We have expensive jewelry. We have the laurel wreath. So I don't know, this might represent like kings, but this could also be like the marriage wreath too, like marriage and status, because it kind of looks like the myrtle wreath that's on Venus's head, and we remember that myrtle wreath represented marriage. We have a dragon, and who doesn't want to be a dragon to show we're like fierce and like we're protected? And then I don't know why the skull is here. I think that might represent maybe being a king or something, because we have the king here. Remember the king's crown fell, and that even kings pass away. So we'll reflect more on, you can reflect more on that. But anyway, everything in the Seven of Cups, these are all things that we think in life will give us pleasure. But remember, it's associated with the Death card. And remember, like the king I just mentioned, The death card shows us that even if you get to the top, you're the head honcho, you're the king, you call all the shots, that's going to be taken away, because even if you're a king, you're going to die. So any power that you accrue in life is impermanent. So the other thing we need to know, especially tying in the astrology, the ancient astrology, is that Venus is in her detriment in Scorpio, meaning Venus is not in her element in death, right? We're thinking of this beautiful, like fertile energy in like this dark, like scene of horror here. Yeah, so it's easy to see why like Venus would be like in her detriment in Scorpio. And Venus, right, is like again the goddess of pleasure. And but then we're looking at these cups and we realize that no desire in these cups will really fulfill us. And so like we start to see the bigger picture, and that's a problem, right? None of this is going to fulfill us. But Venus is all about like fulfilling desires. So we have like a real problem here. Like, how can I ever fulfill my desires when everything that I love and find pleasure in is going to end? And so we're going to explore this a little bit more, right? So what this means. So we have like these clouds here. All these desires are in these clouds. And remember that gray, sorry here, I'm like all up here. Anyway, remember that gray represents wisdom. And so there is wisdom in these cups and in these desires because we realize they're temporary, because we realize the problem with that, right? And it brings to mind the Buddha, who left all things, left all wants and desires, because he realized that all of these things, right, in these cups is suffering. And so that gets into actually in the card, like beyond the cups, beyond the clouds, right? We have this beautiful blue sky. And that sky represents serenity, mental clarity, and compassion, right? So right in that example of the Buddha, he was able to look past all this and use his wisdom to see beyond that and to find peace. And so for us also, right, if we can look past our desires, and look through them and see them as temporary, we can still enjoy them. There's nothing wrong with any of these things, right? But if we're looking at them for like a permanent peace or permanent happiness, that is just not going to happen. It's just not, right? And so we have to be able to look beyond those things, to really find peace, really find happiness. And with the blue sky, I just wanted to quickly like tie in the symbolism from the death card, because there is so much blue and it's represented by water and this river in the back. And so in the death card, the blue beyond is seen related to the new beginning, right? We have this blue river of compassion, and then we have this sun come here in the back behind these structures here, right? So new structure, new things will come. And again, also, the blue river is represented in the Empress card, in the card of Venus, and that river represented fertility and the universal consciousness. And the last thing with really understanding this card, I'm going to like move these away to focus in on this card. So we have this black figure here, right? So black represents banishing and protection. Like banishing and protection, like black, it's like if you want to protect yourself, like wear black. You don't want anybody to bother you. Just dress in black all day. And like, then people know like you want to be left alone. Will they always leave you alone? Maybe not, but you put black all around, you put a black stone on something, people aren't going to mess with it, right? Because it gives people a sense like of like, oh, I better stay away, right? If things are, if you're wearing the color black or you're using black obsidian, it's meant to be protective and create boundaries and space, right? And so, right, so we have this figure that's like banishing things and wearing this color of protection. And so that's interesting because all of the people I know who have Venus in Scorpio, which would relate to this card, all of the ones that I know with Venus in Scorpio wrestle with their desires. Like they have the struggle with their desires and they can restrict themselves from having what they want. So this person is like protecting themselves from their desires, even though part of them wants it. And often like the people I know with Venus and Scorpio, they want they restrict themselves because they have their eye focused on a goal and want to better themselves. They want to be able to access like what's beyond their desires, like this peace and clarity and serenity. They don't want to be overcome by their desires and have their desires control them, because their desires can be so deep and overwhelming and overpowerful. And a lot of times their desires and their emotions, it seems like it's going to consume them, right? So if you feel like you're going to be consumed by your desires and that they're overpowering, you're going to want to get a handle on it, related to Venus in Scorpio. So one of the problems, though, is that they can be very hard on themselves, if they do give into their desires or they don't have control over it. And that's another reason why Venus can be like in its detriment in Scorpio, right? Because Venus, I mean, if you just take the goddess herself, like she's not concerned about whether to enjoy things or not. She's going to enjoy it. So like a sign she rules, like if it was like Venus and Taurus, she's like, I like what I like, end of story. Like no struggle there. I want what I want. Good day, sir. Okay. But Venus in Scorpio is more this conflicted energy. And it's like, should I take part in what I desire? And of course, again, Venus and Scorpio, they are going to find pleasure in things. They are going to give into their desires at times. And it's really important, right? With the Seven of Cups, if we are giving into our desires and we do have that moment where we are overcome by our desires, that we find the beauty in that and we find compassion in ourselves. Again, it's not a problem to give into these desires and experience the beauty of life and have presence and awareness while you're in that like desire and pleasure space. But we want to remember that like permanent happiness is not coming from that. Permanent happiness is coming from the presence, the awareness in that moment, looking beyond that moment, and really having deep compassion and love for ourselves and deep compassion and love for the other people who are involved in that desire. Okay, so moving on to the numerology of this card. This card is associated with the number 7, and number 7 indicates wisdom and spirituality. We talked a lot about like spiritual principles in this card. So it represents going inward to reflect in solitude, birth and rebirth, cycles of wisdom, the 7 heavens, 7 days in a week, 7 chakras, 7 notes in a musical scale, and the 7 traditional planets in astrology. All right, so we're going to get into the upright meaning of this card. So in my experience with this card, if it comes out upright, it means contentment, peace, and harmony with your surroundings. You find yourself restricting things that you normally indulge in, but it doesn't matter. You feel like life is beautiful anyway. In sacrifice and transforming yourself, you find beauty. So examples from my tarot journal, like when I journaled on this card, is like one day when I got this card, I didn't have much of an appetite, which is cool because I usually have a huge appetite. I usually have trouble with overeating. I love food. I love to eat. But that day, I didn't. And then I realized my husband had gotten hand, foot, and mouth disease, common with like kids, and had to come home. But that was the other thing. He came home, he was sick. I didn't freak out. Usually I freak out, right? I'd be like, oh my God, you're sick. Like, what are we going to do? Like, he has to stay home. Like, you worry about bills and things and just what you're going to do with the kids, blah, blah, blah. But that day I pulled it together. I accepted the situation and calmed down. Also that day, I also faced like a rejection about something, when getting this card, but was okay with it and embraced it as an opportunity to just let go and let things be. So like, you might have like days of restrictions and limitations, but you may feel happy doing so, right? You may feel content with that. And have that realization of like, happiness isn't coming from those things. Happiness comes from some place beyond, right? That higher place within us, like the soul, the spirit, the Shakti, the Kundalini. Okay, the reversed meaning. So if this card comes out reversed, the energy is being blocked or avoided. You may feel overwhelmed by your choices for things you want. or it could mean giving into wicked desires. So on days that I've gotten this card, I felt overwhelmed at all of the choices that I had, right? I remember like one day I got this card, I was in the store and I was like so overwhelmed. I was like shopping in the grocery store. I felt so overwhelmed by all of the choices that I have. Like we're so blessed. Like I'm so blessed in my life, like where I live. United States, New Jersey, not thinking much of it, right? But there's like so much food. There's like 50 flavors of chips, like 10 flavors of juice. But it's like, which one to get? I'm so overwhelmed. Can I just like, can juice just be juice? Like chips? It's like too many choices, right? All beautiful. It's like, you can give in to your desires, right? If you're have this card reversed, but it's so overwhelming. And also that day, I saw a lot of couples flirting, and my husband, oh my God, I don't know if I should say this in a video, but he was talking a little bit, a little raunchy, a little rowdy, a little dirty to me. And then that day, like, so that was nice. And then when music was playing, music sounded amazing that day and food tasted amazing. So if it comes out reversed, it's kind of interesting. Like, it's like you're going to feel so much pleasure and feel desire, and you may feel overwhelmed with it. But again, embrace those moments, embrace those experiences. All of life is temporary. And yet, like the paradox is like we're here to experience it and embrace it deeply, like with our life force energy, so that we can live life to the fullest and be present with it. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this video on the Seven of Cups. If you like this video, it's a quick reminder right here to like, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified if you like this video. Also, make sure to share it out if you found value in it. If you want to catch up on the minor arcana cards that I've already done. And up until this, as of now, I've done all of the wands and I'm going through the cups. I'm going to put a minor arcana playlist right for you here so you can catch up on the cards. I'm also going to put a related video that I think you might like up here. All right, love you guys so much. Take care. Bye. If you like this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified for whenever I release a new video every single week.